evolution of different weapons. And I'm actually going to start by handing things off to Talon Silverhorn here from the Shawnee Nation, because it turns out I don't actually know a whole lot about bows. So, Talon, take it away.
Sure thing. Thanks, Davis. Hi, everybody. My name is Talon. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I have here in my hand, kind of when it came about, how it's used, and then the transition from bows to guns that you see over here, and kind of how that plays out in the Eastern Woodlands. So, bows, or in Shawnee we say Welen Aqua, came about roughly about 2,000 years ago here in this part of North America. They were taking over from adlatls used to hunt megafauna. As we transitioned to smaller game, a little bit smaller targets, bows became a technological advantage, allowed us to save some energy. And so bows became kind of the norm for hunting. Even if you did have a gun in the 18th century, you probably still had a bow at home. It takes resources to build those guns, it takes resources to buy those guns, to fix those guns, to buy powder, to buy shot, but you can do everything you need to do to build and maintain this with your own two hands out in the bush. So best about an arrow a second, give or take. Accurately depends on how excited I am, but if you're proficient with a bow, it's so there you go.
Warfare is characterized by what is generally known as pike and shot warfare. I think that term is pretty self-explanatory. You have the pikemen, right? Fairly heavily armored guys with really long spears who are going to fight in big, dense blocks of men. And you have the shot, or the musketeer here, a guy whose job it is to shoot things over a distance. Now, each of these guys is kind of hyper-specialized at one thing, right? Of basically hand-to-hand fighting, right? There's other dudes with pikes who are going to try to stab him. And his armor will stop those enemy pikes. You look at Clayton, on the other hand, and you notice he's not wearing any armor whatsoever. That is because if he gets into a situation where somebody's trying to whack him with a sword, something has gone really wrong already. Something has gone totally bad.
Are you going to narrate?
Sure. So, Clayton here is going to use what are called chargers. He basically has these little pre-measured bottles attached to his body full of gunpowder that he will use to load his weapon. That way he's not having to fiddle around with loose gunpowder while he's loading his gun. He doesn't have to fiddle around with measuring devices. Once he's done that, he's going to prime our arm. Now that he has done all this, he skips putting his ball in his gun, I guess, but that's okay. He's going to go ahead and place the slow match in the serpentine. That's the part of the gun that when he pulls the trigger will bring that piece of hot rope onto the powder and fire the weapon. So if you don't like loud noises, this would be a good time to go ahead and cover up your ears.
Yeah.
Ready? Set. Give start.
And there's a logical change we're going to run into is how we actually make our guns go boom.
To the 18th
so Sean and I both have flintlock weapons. That means that these weapons are fired by means of this piece of rock right here striking this piece of steel right here, producing sparks. Those sparks will hit gunpowder we place in the pan, causing our weapons to just. And half your guys carrying guns, everybody can carry guns. You'll notice, what are neither Sean and I wearing that the last guys were? Armor, right? Muskets, whether they're the one, whether it's a rifle or a musket. So Sean, unlike Clayton, is going to fire from a paper cartridge. Paper cartridges are 18th century speed loaders. They're a paper tube with enough gunpowder to fire a single shot plus a lead ball inside. It gives you the ability to have a pre-measured charge that's ready to go at all times. Once he bites the end off that cartridge, pours a little bit of powder here into the pan. He's going to shut that pan and then dump the entire remainder of the cartridge down the barrel. The paper of the cartridge will act as a wad to prevent the ball from rolling out. Once he has done that, he has to use his ramrod to force the bullet all the way down the barrel. And once he has done that, the weapon is loaded and he is ready to fire.
Ready? Reset. Fire.
And we have sustained here is the ideal circumstance of having enough muskets, enough rifles, etc. But what happens if it's the late 18th century, you're going up against the British Army who are armed with rifles and muskets like Sean's, and maybe you don't have a whole lot of guns?